This is Tavares Wilson. I am your host for Last Word Productions, and I always get the last word. I know it's some of you all Friday, last day before spring break. I know y'all got trips going, planned, and things like that, but y'all know I had to do one more show just so y'all can hear my take on certain things that's happening in the NBA and the NFL right now. And let's let's get into it right now. So, I know it's a later part of the season in the NBA, and a lot of people got specific players they think gonna win the MVP award, thing, and other awards. But let's get straight to the MVP award. I'm gonna give y'all my prediction who I believe deserves the award. And I believe my front runner, my favorite to win it all, is PG-13. For those who do not know who that is, that's Paul George. He played for the OKC Thunder. He's been playing lights out this season. He's been on the road. He's hitting career highs in points per game, rebounds per game, assists per game. His field goal percentage is at a career high right now, and 3-point percentage. So he's not only taking a monumental leap in his game, he's playing at a level and consistency that we've never seen in his career. And a lot of people thought after his scary leg injury he suffered a few years back, they thought he was honestly done. He'll never be the player he was. But it took him a couple of seasons to get his legs under him again, but he's looking like an all-time, as of right now, he's looking like he could be the top 5 player in the NBA right now. Excuse me, not all time, but right now he's playing like a top 5 player. He's second in the league in points per game. He's top, I believe he's number 1 in the league in steals per game, and he leads the league in total steals. So he's playing out his mind on both ends of the floor, and plus he's helped leading the way along with Russell Westbrook with OKC as a top seed in the West. And that's hard to do because, as we all may know, the West is a very stacked conference. My second guy that I can make a case for is Giannis Antetokounmpo. I feel as if he's elevating the Bucks to a level of play that I never thought they could have been because of the simple fact that his leadership has improved along with his play, his jumper. Each month, his 3-point jump shot has increased by 3%. Each month, he's improved, and that says a lot. That means he's honing his skills, he's working on his craft, he's perfecting his game, and I truly admire and respect the man that can know that he needs improvement and then go out and actually improve on it. He's playing at a high level right now. He's a guy that shoots a high percentage from the field. I believe he's shooting 55% from the field right now. Like I said, his 3-point shot is improving. It's improved every month he's been in the league this season. And he's honestly just playing lights out for his team. He knows he has to be an enforcer of both ends of the floor, and he's doing that each and every night. Now, Barry, he has had some injuries this season, but even with that being said, his team sits on top of the East right now, and they're looking like true contenders to go to the NBA Finals. And honestly, there's no one in the East right now that's playing better basketball than him at this moment. He's the best player in the East right now, and that's even with Joel Embiid there. That's even with Kawhi Leonard there. That's even with Kyrie Irving there. These guys are all good, great players, as we all know. But Giannis is playing at a level right now that's unmatched by any other player in the East. And the third guy I feel as if will be in the conversation is James Harden, the winner of the MVP award last year. And I say James Harden third because even though he went on this scoring streak, I believe it was 32 straight games of 30 points or better in the game, which is the second longest streak ever for that. And he beat out Wilt Chamberlain's streak to earn that second spot. But I do feel as if James Harden is a player that, how can I say, he's not stat padding, but he is, in a sense, he's gassing up his statistics by the amount of shots he's asking to take, and also how much usage and how much he has the ball. He controls the ball predominantly the entire game. Predominantly, like he has, I believe, I seen a statistic the other day. He had almost twice. If he had twice as many dribbles as the second best scorer, which is Paul George. And I believe it was 3 times or twice as much. I can't recall the exact numbers, but it was a huge difference. It was extremely significant. It was a huge difference. And I feel as if a player like that the wear and tear of your body eventually will catch up to you as the season progresses. And come playoff time, I'm not sure if he can maintain this high level of play. And he's already had his struggles and his demons in the postseason, in the playoffs. So with that kind of workload and that kind of responsibility, can he truly maintain it throughout this playoffs and for the remainder of the season? And I just don't believe he can. Not to knock his game. I believe he's a great player. He's one of the best in our game right now. He is the best shooting guard, in the league right now. But I don't think he can maintain that level of play for such an amount of period of time, especially for them to be competitors out west to get to the finals. I just don't see it happening, along with their injuries to players like Clint Capella. He's back healthy now, but you never know. Injuries to guys like Chris Paul. They did add a huge piece with Nene. He's been playing, not even just Nene, Kenneth Reed, he's been playing lights out. He's been putting up career highs in points per game and rebounds per game. And I don't know, I just feel as if he will make a case for the MVP award, but I don't feel as if his cases should be as strong as the other two guys I named, because not only are they shooting better from the field and their teams are doing better respectively than his, they've done it more consistently on the floor on both ends. James Harden has never been a good defender throughout his career. We all know that. And he's definitely not been one of late, especially since he has to take so much of the load on the offensive end, bearing the injuries they had on the team. And I just feel as if those other two guys play both ends strong. They do it at a high level, both of them. And I just feel as if that gives them that edge over James Harden, even though he's put up historic numbers this season. Okay, with that being said, though, we're going to move on to the Lakers' playoff hopes. After a win last night, before that win last night, the Lakers had dropped their two previous games, and they were 4-9 in their last 13 games. And I just feel like, so the question has to be asked, do the Lakers still realistically have a chance to make the playoffs? Even though they went out and signed the best player in the league in LeBron James, even though they have the young talent in Kyle Kuzma, Brandon Ingram, Josh Hart, guys like that, can they still make the playoffs? I believe personally it's still a chance they can make it because of the simple fact that they have LeBron James. Like I said, he's the best player in the league. He may not be the best player in the league at this very moment, but he is the best player in the league. He's recognized as that because his leadership, his ability to elevate the team around him regardless of who he has, and also the simple fact that they have too much talent to me to not make the playoffs. Lonzo has been hurt the past, I believe, 15 games, and he was their best perimeter defender. Once he comes back, the points per game against the team and their defensive rate and all those things, I believe, will drastically improve because without him, their defense of rating has drastically dropped. And I feel as if his absence is huge on this team right now, especially on the defensive end. A lot of people want to talk about his offensive numbers and how he doesn't put up this amount of points and things of that nature, but he's a huge piece to what they do on the defensive end, and he's a good floor general. He can run the offense outside of LeBron and Rondo, so he's that guy who can run the offense when they're on the bench taking a breather or when they're bearing any injuries, because both of them have suffered some injuries this season. But I feel as if once he comes back, they'll have a good chance to make the playoffs. They can actually make a pretty good run because they have to beat out teams like who's in the AFC right now. They have to beat out teams like the Clippers. I think they could do that. I think they could beat out the Clippers. And I just see them sneaking their way in. I don't know if they make a run in the playoffs, but I do see them sneaking their way in. It's very possible, especially when you have, like I said, a LeBron James, and when you will have your best perimeter defender and your point guard who runs your offense coming back. So I can see them making a run for the playoffs. Okay, with all that being said about the NBA, we're going to move on to my favorite sport, football, the NFL specifically. And I know y'all been waiting for this, but I'm going to finish out my mock draft. And I left off on 16, so we're going to get to 17 first. Oh, I'm sorry. We left off on 16, so we're going to start with 16. My apologies. But at 16, the Carolina Panthers, I got the Carolina Panthers picking T.J. Hockenson, the tight end out of Iowa. And I got the Panthers taking him because of the simple fact that Greg Olsen has been an injury liability on the field of late for the past, I believe, 2-3 seasons. He's a guy who's very productive. He's an all-pro tight end when he's playing. He's one of the best in the league, but he's a liability because he's not on the field consistently anymore. Like I said, he's one of the best in the league when he's on the field. When he's on the field, he could give you a good 8 catches for 85 yards and a touchdown. On a really good day, he could give you 10 with 105 and 2 touchdowns. But he's not on the field. And I feel as if T.J. Hockenson could come in. He's a tight end who plays both the run game extremely well and the passing game. He could do both at a high level. I feel as if complimenting guys like Christian McCaffrey and Cam Newton, you need a tight end that will be able to block for these versatile guys who can make plays with their feet and out of the backfield, like Cam Newton and like DJ Moore on the in and around screens. And I feel as if they have those type of playmakers who he can complement pretty well due to his playing style. And barring the injuries to Greg Olsen, he's a guy that could be a good complement number 2 and step in as a number 1 if need be. He is that talented of a player, I believe, and this will be a really good pick for the Panthers at 16. At 17, the Cleveland Browns, I believe they take Andrew Dillard, the tackle out of Washington State. I believe the Browns take a go lineman here because of the simple fact they're still looking for the replacement for Joe Thomas. They haven't really found that guy yet. Their line is solid. They just spent a few draft picks on their line in the past 2 years. But I do feel as if they need to find that replacement for Joe Thomas. He was their Iron Man. He was their rock. He was consistent. He went the longest stretch in NFL history without missing a game before he got injured, and then later on, I believe season after he retired. But he was a guy that was irreplaceable. That's something you cannot coach. It's just something you have to try to plug someone else in and hope you can get similar production out of. And I believe Andrew Dillard can give him that. He's a guy that's versatile. He can play both tackle and guard position. He has good technique. He got good shoulder pad level. He plays with, like I said, good technique. And I feel as if he's a guy that will come in and be your starting left tackle day one because of his versatility and because his ability to not only block in the passing game well, but he's a good run blocker as well. He's a guy that you can plug in on anywhere on your line and he will give you high production. So I can see the Browns taking him with this pick. At 18, the Minnesota Vikings, I believe they take Devin White, the linebacker out of LSU. This is a very, very athletic linebacker. He's versatile. He can play inside, outside. He can play the run. He can play downhill. And he can play in the passing game pretty good. He's a guy who has great instincts. He can run sideline to sideline. He can make all the tackles on the field. He's a great open field tackler. He has the size, and I feel as if he's one of the most extremely gifted players in this draft, in this NFL draft specifically. And he's a guy that will help that 14th ranked run defense out. They have the talent, guys like Eric Kendricks, Anthony Barr, but they still need that guy who's going to be able to do it all. Even though those guys are really good players, they have their ups and downs. Anthony Barr isn't that good of a guy in pass coverage, just like how Eric Kendricks isn't that good of a guy in running support. And I feel as if Devin White can do both at a pretty high level. He can come in and really help an already good defense get even better, which will be scary, honestly. At 19, the Tennessee Titans, I think they take Dexter Lawrence, the defensive lineman out of Clemson. He's an interior lineman. They have pretty good edge rushers. They got pretty good linebackers as Wesley Woodyard, Harold Landry. I'm sorry. They got pretty good guys, Drew Casey. They just need somebody to help them lock up that interior. And I feel as if Dexter Lawrence can do that because he's a guy that plays with good pad level, has a good bull rush. He's a strong guy. He can help you in the run support. The Titans already have a pretty good secondary in Malcolm Butler, Adoree Jackson, Kevin Byard, guys like that. And they just honestly need to be able to stop the run a little bit better than they already have. Even though their numbers won't tell you, but when you watch their film, their games, they've given up critical runs on downs that just honestly killed them in a lot of games. And I feel as if these guys can really use a Dexter Lawrence because he will be exactly what you need, a guy who can help you support the run and get to the passer when need be. At 20, the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think they take Rock Ya-Sin, the cornerback out of Temple. The Steelers led the league in sacks last year. They got pretty good pass rushers in Bud Dupree, TJ Watt. I feel as if they're going to get hopefully they get Ryan Shazier back. They have pretty good linebackers though, but their secondary has been lacking. Artie Burns has not panned out to be the first round draft pick as much as they wanted him to be. As much as that hurts me to say because he's from Miami, Florida. I went to school with this guy. I don't personally know him like that, but I've witnessed him play and I was rooting for him because we're from the same city. But it pains me to say that he hasn't been the guy that they drafted or they thought he would be coming out of the University of Miami. And Joe Hayden, even though he's playing better than what he did after his injuries in Cleveland, he's still not playing as that guy that was in Cleveland with the Browns. So I feel as if they have to go corner here. Rock Ya-Sin is one of the more gifted corners in this league. He's a guy who can play off coverage, and he's a guy who can play man and zone. He's good at playing the ball. He's a guy that I feel as if can come in day one, possibly be your number one corner. I'm not saying he's going to be a shutdown corner, but I am saying that he will hold his own. He's not going to come in the game and shut down a guy like Antonio Brown or Julio Jones, but he will compete and he will give you solid play out of the corner position, out of anyone you have right now. I personally believe outside of Joe Hayden, he's honestly better than anything they have at the moment. Okay, let's get to it again. At 21, the Seattle Seahawks. I think they take Montez Sweat, the defensive end out of Mississippi State. He's a really good athlete. A lot of scouts and analysts has compared him to Jadeveon Clowney with his physical gifts and his athletic ability. When I watch him, I don't really see Jadeveon Clowney type play, but I do see the physical gifts that people are saying. He's a guy who can line up at linebacker. He can line up on the edge as a defensive end. He can rush the passer. He can play the pass. He can do things like that. And he can be a really, really good complement to Frank Clark, the Seahawks' best pass rusher right now. And I feel as if with those two, the Seahawks will slowly build that defense they had that dominated the league that on that 2-year Super Bowl stretch they went and they won one of those Super Bowls in a dominant way because of their defense. And I feel as if he can help build that back up. But I feel as if it's all based on coaching. And I think with a good coach, and I think the Seahawks do have a good coach in Pete Carroll, I think he can be a really good complement to Frank Clark, and I think he can be a top 10 pass rusher in the league this season if they were to take him. With the 22nd pick, the Baltimore Ravens, I think they take A.J. Brown, a receiver out of Mississippi. This is a big, strong, physical receiver. When I look at him, he has the makeup, the build of a Terrell Owens. He's that big and that intimidating of a figure when you look at him. He plays with like his size too. He's big, he's strong. He goes up and play the ball extremely well. And And be quite honest with you all, with this pick, the Ravens just honestly need to add weapons around Lamar Jackson. He's a guy who's going to struggle early because he tends to rely on his physical gifts more so his pocket presence and his arm. So I feel as if him having a big target to throw to who just win those 50-50 matchups most times, I feel as if that would be extremely helpful for a guy like him. With the 23rd pick, the Houston Texans, I got them taking Tytus Howard, the tackle out of Alabama State. I got them taking Tytus Howard due to the fact that ever since they lost DeJuan Brown in the trade with the Seattle Seahawks, that offensive line has just drastically gotten worse and worse. They look horrific in their playoff game against the Colts. They look bad throughout the season. Honestly, it's just that Deshaun Watson, him being the good player he is, he made those guys look a lot better than what they truly were. But even with his talent and his playmaking ability and his weapons outside and at running back with Lamar Miller, DeAndre Hopkins, Will Fuller before he got hurt, Demaryius Thomas before he got hurt, that offensive line has not helped him throughout the season at all. And they need to start to rebuild that offensive line, and they need to start by replacing the linemen that they had last season before they traded them away. So you need to get better at that in the offensive line position, at every offensive line position, period. You have to win in the trenches. If you don't, you're not going to win many games in the NFL. And I feel as if Tytus Howard will be that building block they need to improve the offensive line in order to protect their investment in their quarterback, who is their best player. So they have to protect Deshaun Watson. With the 24th pick, the Oakland Raiders, I think they take Grady Williams, the cornerback out of LSU. This guy is a long, rangy corner. He has good ball skills. He's good at bumper run coverage. But he can also play a little bit of zone. But he's really good at bumper run. The Raiders honestly need to improve their secondary. It's just outside of guys like Garrett Conley and Carl Joseph, some games, they've really been inconsistent. Reggie Nelson hasn't really been the guy, the Pro Bowl safety they signed a couple years back. They need to improve that secondary fast because it's honestly been terrible the past 2 seasons. Even when they were a playoff team, it wasn't necessarily really any good, to be honest with you. And I feel as if getting Grady Williams to complement a guy like Garrett Conley will be huge because they're 2 young corners who are pretty big corners and they both can play the ball well. And you have building blocks for the future with these 2 young guys in a passing league. So this will be a much needed and much helpful pick for the Raiders. When the 25th overall pick, the Philadelphia Eagles, I think they take Josh Jacobs, the running back out of Alabama. I believe they take Josh Jacobs here for 2 reasons. For one, they need that complimentary, elusive, electrifying type back to complement Jay Ajayi. Even though Chris Clements was that for a while, he wasn't exactly the guy who could produce once Ajayi went down. I believe Josh Jacobs could do everything Chris Clements could do and be a primary ball carrier, like how he showed at Alabama. He's going to be helpful at the backfield regardless. Out of the backfield, he's going to be one of the best pass catchers and running backs in the league. And I feel as if with him complimenting Jay Ajayi, it will open up that offense for a guy like Carson Wentz and Alshon Jeffrey and Zach Ertz and the rest of these guys so much. And it will honestly just make the whole team, the whole offense better. With the 26th pick, the Indianapolis Colts, I think they take Draymond Jones, the defensive lineman out of Ohio State. This guy's an extremely versatile defensive lineman. He can play inside, he can play outside. He's similar to a guy like Robert Quinn or Michael Brockers, I'm sorry. He can play inside and outside. He can do it all. The Colts, even though they already have good sack numbers, they were top 5 in the league last year. He's a guy that they need because he can make their defense give different looks, to the opposing offensive lineman. And with that, you can do so many more things, just like how the Rams do it Aaron Donald and the Dominican Sue and Michael Brockers, they give teams so many looks to the point you don't know which way anyone is coming, honestly. And I feel as if with him being on that line, the Colts can do something similar with that, with him complimenting guys like Jabbar Sharif. With the 27th overall pick, the Oakland Raiders again, I think they take Devin Bush, the linebacker out of Michigan. They need to, let's just keep it cut and dry, simple. They need to improve this defense fast and in a hurry. Since they lost Khalil Mack, their best defensive player, this defense has just been going downhill. Even with him, they weren't exactly good as a unit. So without him, they're just even worse. But this guy, he will help you get a little better, even though he's a little undersized at his position, but he reminds me a lot of a Levante David type player. He plays sideline to sideline. He's extremely quick and fast on his feet. He's a guy who can play in pass coverage. He can make all the tackles on the field because his technique is good and he plays with good pad level. So I feel as though this is a pick that would help this defense get a little better for the future. With the 28th pick, the Los Angeles Chargers, I think they take Mack Wilson, linebacker out of Alabama. This pick is a huge need for the Chargers because they've been having a lot of injuries at the linebacker position with guys like Denzel Perryman. They were so thin at the position to the point they in the playoffs, and as we all probably noticed, they switched their linebackers out with their safeties and their DBs because their DBs were typically more healthy and because they were quicker to the ball. They desperately need a linebacker who can play downhill and play the run, and I feel as if Mack Wilson can do exactly that. He's very good at playing the run. He plays downhill. He makes all the tackles on the field that you need him to make. His pass coverage skills can get better because he doesn't play the ball as well as a guy with his physical abilities could. But with that being said, all that is to me is coaching, and I feel as if the Chargers' defensive coaching is pretty good because they have one of the better defensive units in the league as a whole. With the 29th overall pick, the Kansas City Chiefs, I think they take Jawan Williams, cornerback out of Vanderbilt. This is a much-needed pick for his team. Their defense could use all the secondary help they could get, honestly. They was hurting extremely bad without Eric Berry. I thought they was going to make a trade for Patrick Peterson last season when he was on the block, or it was rumored that he was on the block. I thought they was going to make a play for him because they desperately need that bump and run, man-to-man corner, and that's exactly who Jawan Williams is. He's a big, long corner who can play bump and run. He can play man-to-man. He can match up with the team's best receiver. Like I said, he may not necessarily be that lockdown corner you need, but he would definitely be better than what they already have with guys like Kendall Fuller and Orlando Scandrick, guys like that. I believe he comes in day one and he outplays those guys for that number one corner spot. With the 30th overall draft pick, the Green Bay Packers, I think they take Irv Smith, the tight end out of Alabama. I believe you need to add more pass catchers around Aaron Rodgers. Let's just be honest. He's the guy you invested in. He's the $100 million man. He's the guy that you paid to take you to the promised land, and you need to invest in that. Irv Smith, he helps a lot in the blocking, which they need. The line is good, but sometimes on those blitz packages, they get killed, and he's a guy who can help with that. He's a good pass catcher, and I feel as if he could be a better complement than what Jimmy Graham is right now. With the 31st pick, the Rams, I think they take Taylor Rapp, the safety out of Washington. Good size. He plays the ball well. He helps in the running game a little. He could get better at that, at tackling. But I see them taking this pick because I do believe LaMarcus Joyner walks in free agency. I don't think they re-sign him. They've re-signed a lot of guys this season, well, last offseason. I don't believe they have the money to pay everyone. I do see them drafting Taylor Rapp here to replace LaMarcus Joyner, I'm sorry. All right, to close out the draft with the Super Bowl winning champions, the Patriots, the New England Patriots, I think they take Noah Fant, the tight end out of Iowa. Usually you don't see tight ends go off the board this early and this often, but I believe the Patriots they need to get their replacement, and they need to start grooming him to replace Gronk, because there's been a lot of speculation, a lot of talks about Gronk retiring soon, bearing a lot of his injury history, and a guy with that injury history and his style of play won't last very much longer in the league. So I couldn't see the Patriots going tight end here to find that replacement for him. Well, that's it for my show today, you guys. Thank you all for tuning in. Be sure to follow me on Instagram at LastWord_Productions. Be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel at LastWord Productions. And be sure to tune in to the rest of the shows we have on here. Make sure y'all tune in to Spreaker to listen to them, because trust me, they're all great. And y'all enjoy the rest of y'all day. I hope y'all have a great spring break.